I really am enjoying this coconut water. And that means get the fuck out.
All right, before we begin the show, let's thank our sponsors. First and foremost, our title sponsor, Once Upon a Coconut. All natural, non-GMO coconut water with natural electrolytes and no added sugar. You can choose from pure blueberry, pineapple, watermelon, sparkling energy, and chocolate flavors with Once Upon a Coconut. Stay hydrated and refreshed. And if you're wondering why it tastes so darn good, it's due to a combination of factors, including the freshness and sweetness of young coconut water, the lack of additives, and the natural electrolytes present. And the best part about it, Once Upon a Coconut, 10% of profits go to charity that benefit our communities, including the Down Syndrome Foundation, Breast Cancer Foundation, Leukemia Society. Good things, good people, great product. So you can grab it at some Sprouts. You can grab it on Amazon. You can go online to find a store near you or purchase it right there off of their website, onceuponacoconut.com. It is delish. Big thanks to Inspect All Pest Services, our buddy Nick and the crew over at Inspect All Pest Services, providing the highest quality termite, pest, and wildlife control. That's not all they do. Inspect All can take care of your insulation, pressure washing, gutter maintenance, and other home services in Metro Atlanta and the surrounding areas. Remember, seasonal, you get different bugs and critters all around your house, so you want to go with the best in the business, and that would be one of our fine sponsors from day one, InspectAllServices.com. It's the Mad Dog, Manny Aurora, with the Aurora Law Firm, best darn defense attorney in the world, litigating all over the United States, based out of Georgia. We're talking criminal defense, white-collar crime, DUI, drug offenses, appeals, and more. And you can always get your legal questions answered by the Mad Dog, Manny Aurora, by getting those to me. And when he pops up on a show, you get your questions answered. So go to thebaileyshow.com and we'll get those questions to the Mad Dog. The Aurora Law Firm.com. He is the best in the business when it comes to therapists. There's no doubt about that. I use them, and so should you. We're talking about Dr. David Markwell with Ridgeline Counseling. He's got 10 therapists in-house, 3 different locations there in Georgia, one across from Sprayberry High School in Sandy Plains in East Cobb, Marietta near the Square in McKaysville, just outside of Blue Ridge. But if you're not in Georgia and you need to talk to the good doctor, then you can go online and get virtual sessions. Ridgeline Counseling at gmail.com if you'd like to email him directly, or go online to markwelltherapy.com. There is no better time to check if your insurance is any good. That's why FBC Insurance is waiting for you to reach out. You can call them at 888-308-1841 or email them info@fbcinsuranceservices.com. I just switched up my car insurance because I got a better deal at FBC Insurance. They were the people to find it. Perfect for new homeowners, especially if you're trying to reshop those current insurance policies. 5-star service, multi-policy, bundled discounts, and they're going to shop every carrier out there to find the best insurance for your house, flood, storm season, auto, motorcycle, boat, recreational vehicle, or just a personal policy. 888-308-1841 or go online, FBCInsuranceServices.com. Another one of our great sponsors in storm season. You have to talk to the good people at Alternate Power Solutions of Georgia. Family owned and operated. They are a Generac generator dealer, founded in 2012. So storm season, power goes out. Who knows when it's coming back on? Don't be that guy or girl that does not have a backup plan and having power for whatever it be, especially medical devices, fans, air conditioning, so on and so forth. Offering sales, service, installation, and repair of automatic home standby and portable generators, every single one of you. When you become a customer at Alternate Power Solutions of Georgia, you get an upgraded warranty, free monitoring, and warranty repair. A+ rating with a BB&B, and you pay nothing until the job is complete. Call or request a free home assessment and go to their website, poweringgeorgia.com, or buzz them at 770-853-7571. Use the discount code Bailey, my last name, and get $500 off your entire installation. All right? Servicing Georgia and Tennessee. Again, another great sponsor of the BS podcast that is going to come to your aid here during storm season. And I'm talking about Cliff Bratcher and Jayco Contracting. This one hits home for me because I needed advice from Cliff and Jayco Contracting when my mother got a hole in her roof. Now, Jayco Contracting helping the good folks out in Georgia. And if you're in Georgia, you call him this storm season just to know that you're going to be taken care of when that tree falls through your roof or your shingles come off or a hole somehow appears. service, right? They are a platinum preferred contractor with Owens Corning, licensed and insured roofing and gutter specialists covering all of Georgia. Keep in mind, if you've not gone through this process, Cliff and Jayco Contracting are going to take care of it from start to finish. That means dealing with the insurance companies. That can be a headache and a negotiation, and they're the best to do it. Commercial and residential satisfaction guaranteed. JaycoContracting.com, or 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You give Cliff Bratcher a call at 770-316-3876. Alive Ozone Therapy Spa in Altamont Springs, Florida. This is mine and my wife's wellness spa. If you have an autoimmune, cancer, HIV, just simple biohacking, long COVID, the answer is yes to just about anything that's going on in your body. Most of the time it starts with inflammation, and ozone therapy, it decreases inflammation. So ozone therapy, we are the first and only to do it in Central Florida. That is Alive Ozone Therapy Spa. We also offer red light therapy, halo therapy, pressotherapy, PMF grounding mat, as well as naturally in-house made ozone infused products like the magnesium butter that many of you absolutely love. Ozone therapy, what is it? Quickly, it repairs and rejuvenates your cells to the mitochondrial level by using activated oxygen. Simple as that. No side effects. That's all there is to it. It's a 30-minute session, and you actually burn up to 600 calories when you're in the Hocket sauna. We do it the most non-invasive way. So whether you're in the area or you want to travel, book an appointment, aliveozonetherapyspa.com. All the products you can get there as well. And remember, for you two peers, use the discount code BS10 to take that off those online products. If you want to be a sponsor of the show, reach out to me via thebaileyshow.com. And if you are a listener of this podcast and you need any of our great sponsors, please reach out to them. Now, let's begin.
I think we should do a podcast about rock and roll. And that's some stories.
Yeah, let's do it. Welcome to the Vinyl Road Podcast.
All right, there it is, episode 04 of the Vinyl Road Podcast. My name's Jason Bailey. There he is, Mr. Brad Stewart. How are ya?
What it do? What it do? How about you?
Thanks for being here. I'm drinking my chocolate-flavored Once Upon a Coconut.
Okay. Look what I found. The pineapple version.
yeah.
Hey, now. Hello. Listen.
Did Mr. Brad Stewart happen to get a box or two delivered to his house from Once Upon a Coconut?
About out, man. They better be anteing up pretty soon. I would actually buy this, dude. This is no shit. This is good stuff. I mean, it is
really
good.
It's really good. The title sponsor of all my podcasts, including this one. And if you are interested in having the best coconut water, you know, the good sugars, the electrolytes, I mean, it's good for you. It does a lot of good stuff for your body, especially hydrating you. You can go to onceuponacoconut.com and use the discount code BSPodcast10, and you can get 10% off. And then you can also check the stores around you, depending on where in the world you're at, because they're new to the market. So you just got to find it. But it was funny. Brad had texted me. He's like, dude, you're right, man. Little vodka in this chocolate. It's for real. Shut up.
Dude, I tell you what, man. Dangerous, bro. Danger. Actually, all of it. I mean, pretty much, you know, coconut water is tough, usually.
Yeah.
You know, it's usually like, oh, I used to not even be able to drink the shit, but now I like it, man. And the flavors don't taste like artificial or weird. They taste like pretty legit to me, man. You know, But yeah, the chocolate for sure. I do have a Sprouts here. You say you can get it at Sprouts?
Yeah, I believe they're in Sprouts, at least
Love
in Florida. Yeah, Sprouts, in Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get some more delivered to your house though. That's not a problem. You gotta take it next Saliva gig. You got to take a couple with you. And we took them to the Bahamas. We took a case to the Bahamas when we were down there and used them, you know, with our vodka drinks, and it was delicious.
It'd be great to have it on the bus, honestly, dude. Like a couple cases. That way we could hydrate whenever we destroy ourselves nightly. We can sort of, you know, help get the electrolytes back and get back in action. You know?
Just let me know, you know, when are you guys going out, as far as not flying out, but on a bus doing that kind of tour soon?
It's gonna be more like August, so there's some time.
Not a problem. I'll get you some cases to go out. So August is when Saliva will be going out on a multi-city North American tour.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Has that been announced yet?
Hasn't been announced. There's already some anchor dates that we're just, you know, like I think I said last time, just trying to connect the dots and also figure out who's going to be on the tour. Still being worked out. We're we're hoping our friends in Earshot will come join us. I don't know if you remember Earshot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to spill the beans, but we've been talking with them. I've known Will Martin. He was actually at the Puddle of Mud audition that I did in 2000. It was like January 2000 or something like super early 2000. And so Danny at the time, Danny Wimmer Presents, was A&R for Flawless Geffen. So that was Fred's imprint on, Geffen Records. And so they signed Wes, and we were auditioning to be in Wes's band, but they were looking to sign Earshot too. But really? I think, Earshot actually ended up on Warner Brothers and not with the IGA group. So
what was their big radio hit?
Get Away was a big one.
Get Away. Yeah. Get Away. Yeah.
They actually have a new record out, man. It sounds killer. They Will has been sending me tracks, and it sounds great, man. It's as good as they've ever sounded, if you ask me. It sounds killer.
The early 2000s bands, like Saliva, but Saliva had longevity as far as their music. I mean, it wasn't just one or two radio hits for Saliva. So you kind of put Saliva in a different category, Shinedown obviously in a different category. But you look at, I would put like Shinedown up top, and then you go down like Saliva. I'm talking about as far as radio hits. Sure. And then you go like Fuel, another one of your bands. And then you go down a little bit farther to Earshot. And this is not a shot, no pun intended, to Earshot, but they were a part of a bunch of really talented active rock bands in the early mid 2000s that got some radio play. Crossfade, another one. Cold, another one. Those types of bands. Flyleaf, another one. And you look at these bands, you're like, God, that song was really good. And it's amazing 20 years later when you go back and listen to it. Trapped, another one. You go back and you listen to it and go, man, that brings back memories. But it was only here for a minute. It wasn't a longevity band or a longevity song as far as the radio world, the mainstream world goes. There were some good tunes, man, for that time. Really good.
Absolutely. And some of those bands, so Shinedown and Saliva both signed 6 album deals, right, with their labels. So you owe them 6 records. So, and I'm not sure what, sort of deals these other bands sign, but it's always the label's option to pick up the option of giving you another record. So it could have happened where maybe something happened at their label or something, went south at some point and they didn't pick up their option to put out another record. That might explain why they only did a couple records for Warner Brothers or whoever. And it can get messy,
Is it tough to sign a record deal, which I can only imagine, and I mean, this feeling, how exciting it is to get signed to a label, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is the break. This is my new life. This is what's going to put me into the stratosphere kind of thing. And then you lose that record deal, which is like an actor losing a sitcom or a TV show, that kind of thing. It's a downer. How difficult is it to find another label after having moderate success with a former label right away or ever?
It's tough to find another major label to get behind it. I feel like, with the Fuel band, like you were saying, when Brett took it back over from Carl, we did a deal with Megaforce, which is an indie label. Famously, Metallica, Kill 'Em All, I believe, was originally that was their home until they signed with Elektra. But and we put out a record called Puppet Strings on Megaforce, and the thing is with an indie is resources, right? I mean, if you have a major label like Atlantic or Interscope or Elektra, whatever, they just have the resources at radio, and they have favors that they're owed, and they have things to sort of help, fuel the machine and feed the monster kind of thing. And indies, it's hard to compete, but you're still competing with those bands that are going for the same airplay, the same fans, the same sales, but that are on major labels if you're on an indie. So it can be difficult, man, to sort of, if you do make the change, or if you get dropped or something, to come back from something like that, or to come back, I should say, in just as big of a way as how you started it, I guess, because now you're not priority on this new label. Yes, you're on a new label, but there's just wait in line because there's a bunch of other people fighting for those resources too, so.
And I'm surprised that more artists haven't tried to reinvent themselves, like take the wrestling approach. It's like, okay, I had a good run. Let's just say Earshot, for example. I had a good run. Who's the lead singer, Earshot?
Will Martin.
Okay, yeah. Will Martin. Say, look, I had a great run. Earshot we had our moment in time, but the brand is associated with that. Not that it's a bad thing, but I'm talented enough that I could do, as most lead singers or any artist have a different type of, version of music that they want to do as well, but they can't do it under that brand, and say, okay, I'm going to reinvent myself, create a totally different band and do this type of music. Not many artists do that. I mean, you get the Blur, Gorillaz, Green Day kind of did it with whatever that band was that they had, Garth Brooks, infamously Chris Gaines, you know what I mean? So you have some artists that do the band Fun. I believe the lead singer of that band was in a former rock band before. The lead singer who he's unfortunately dead now, but I am such a fan, and I always forget his name, so you can see how big of a fan I am. But the lead singer of the band Brad, which was coincidentally enough, which was Stone Gossard's band, and he was also the lead singer of, God, what was it?
Was it Screaming Trees? No,
not
Mark Lanigan. No,
no. His name's very simple. It's like Smith or Rice or something like that. He was, God, I need to look it up, but he was, I want to say, God, I'm going to be so wrong. Folk Explosion, maybe.
I mean, the tough thing with like doing that is that
Sean Smith, Pigeonhead, and also Satchel. Pigeonhead is the band I'm thinking of. But
Pigeonhead. Right.
Sean Smith, amazing vocalist. Like absolutely love, and I love that band Brad. And Low Fidelity All Stars, which was remixed the Pigeonhead song Battle Flag. That's where the tie-in was. Awesome. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I think Ben Shepherd from Soundgarden was in Brad, was he not, as the bassist? Or am I mistaken? Who played bass? Somebody. I thought it was pretty big deal in that. I know it was Stone Gossard from Pearl Jam. So it was like his side project.
You had Stone Gossard, Reagan Hager, Keith Lowe, Happy Chester, Sean Smith, Terry Doback, Mike Berg.
Okay, so maybe he wasn't. I'm thinking of someone else though, because he did a side project too.
And Brad, the band, didn't get any radio play. And the probably most mainstream from that band was from the movie Threesome. I mean, back in the day. But it, like that, I remember interviewing Stone Gossard and bringing it up, and he was like surprised. He was like, "You're the only fan out there."
You might be the only one that gave a shit.
I was like, dude, I memorized every song on that album. Like, I love that band. I love the whole thing, everything about it. It was pretty good. So when Saliva goes back out, is there a certain part of North America that you guys are targeting?
I mean, as of now, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, of course we're doing Sturgis, and there's I'd say, I mean, if I was a betting man, probably Middle America, but then also out to, I have some tentative dates here, stand by. So yeah, I mean,
and the East Coast,
Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Minnesota, of course, South Dakota. I mean, so we're usually all over the place, man. When the agent's trying to get the routing for the tour, they'll be like, well, as long as it's within 8 or 10 hours, right? You guys can do it, because then you're paying overdrives for the bus driver. If it's over 450 miles typically, or over 8 hours, now you're paying more money for the guy to get you there. And if it's within the budget, then whatever. But I mean, it's all these things are taken into account. You try not to do, and you don't want to put yourself in danger either. Plus, in a bus, you can't always take the fastest route, if you will. If you're going through mountains, you have to take the least intense sort of, route to get where you're going. So that can add time to the drive, of course. So all these things you have to take into account. But we've driven all the way from freaking Michigan to Texas in one shot before. Chris Lafferty, we had a private show in Houston, and he literally drove from like the Detroit area, I think it was, all the way down to Houston. And we made it by like 3 or 4 the next day.
Really?
Yeah, he just went for it, man. It was how I was fucking goddamn, dude, that was impressive.
I'm kind of
That's a fucking
surprised. I would think Saliva more hardcore audience would be East Coast.
I mean, we have great response and attendance in a lot of different places. I mean, it just, it's definitely, out west it is a little tougher for us. Like California, I don't know if the band was ever that big in California, but we'll still play certain places out there. But Colorado's good to us. The Pacific Northwest is good to us, actually. The Southeast, of course, Texas. We could probably spend about 2 weeks, maybe even a month in Texas, because Texas loves Saliva. And they just, we always have good response. Every time we go there, it's a good time.
Isn't that where Josie's originally from?
I don't know. I know the band was based in Memphis. I'm not exactly sure. He lives in Tulsa.
He's a Memphis guy. Yeah, that's
yeah,
right. Memphis guy. Well, the reason I asked that is, as this podcast, the Vinyl Road podcast, putzes along successfully every episode, I see more and more people gravitating towards it. I've just launched a new social media just for the Vinyl Road podcast on Instagram right now at the Vinyl Road podcast. So please start following that so we can grow that. So I think the next step is start getting some of your friends on the show, when we can do that. That would be cool. Then the next step, or same step, would be for us to do this podcast, the Vinyl Road podcast, before a Saliva show. I think that would be pretty cool. If Saliva's playing fill in the blank and you tell everybody, hey, Saliva hits the stage at 9 p.m., but, and you've got an opener or two, say, hey, look, we're going to do the Vinyl Road podcast as a curtain jerker before the show. Come out early, to support the opening acts, of course, but also to support the podcast. We'll have different people from the bands come out and we'll do it up on stage and we'll set it up. And I think that'd be pretty cool,
Maybe even have some coconut water.
Maybe even have some Once Upon a Coconut water available for free. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, you never know, right?
So think about that, as far as the next step, Brad, of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty cool. Kind of like what we did with my podcast in Pores, when you guys performed.
That was a good time, the acoustic performance down there in Orlando. Yeah.
That was really cool.
That was cool.
I was surprised that it wasn't, it was a good time and it was a good crowd, but that to me should have been 10 times bigger because that was just neat. Just the whole thing about it was neat, and we had 2 opening bands. The girl that opened for you guys, Riley, who worked for us at a live, she still does actually. She just performed at the Grand Ole Opry the other day.
Damn, really? That's a big stage to be on.
Yeah, the other week. She got her first shot at the Grand Ole Opry. She got to perform. So that was pretty. Look at that. Saliva's launching bands in every genre. You didn't even know.
Hey man, you're welcome. Seriously.
Is there a band, do you know, and I'm talking about from the beginning of Saliva, obviously we all know different members, all that stuff, but is there a band that has had success that if I were to ask them who they credit their success with, they would give credit to Saliva?
That's a tough one, man. I mean, since I wasn't around in the early part of the band, that would be tough for me because I came in after, the original, I would say though, but when I was in Shinedown, we did a lot of stuff with Hailstorm, and the same management, and they opened a lot of tours and shows with us, and they were on this track, man, and they were just kind of steady as she goes up the mountain, and they won a Grammy and shit. I mean, they kicked ass. I mean, but it was definitely a slow build, and they're still kicking ass now. As far as Saliva goes, I mean, there was Full Devil Jacket. There was some bands that I'd say them and Save and Abel did a lot of stuff in the early days. Drowning Pool, of course, too. I don't know if they could, the band, we could take responsibility necessarily for those bands' success, but it ebbs and flows. Some bands, today they're the opener, tomorrow they're the headliner, and then next thing you know, something happens and they're back to being the opener. It can happen. So the baseball bats come out on the way down.
Yeah.
Depending on how you operate. So hopefully you haven't been an asshole and you're humble and you just go out there and do your show and kick some ass and that way, if things happen to where now you're not in a position where you're the top dog, I think it can get weird, so
the business can eat you up and throw you away very quickly.
It really can. I mean, one false move and I mean, you're out of there. It
Yeah.
can be a really a cutthroat, tough thing. And
Can you
I
think-
mean,
Can
go
you
ahead.
think of somebody, and again, this isn't just to beat them up or demean them, but somebody with all the talent in the world and was on that trajectory up, and they just made a mistake or a few mistakes. I mean, Wes Scantling comes to mind, obviously, but I mean, outside of that, can you think of somebody?
I mean, Wes. The thing about Wes is he would still be like a top tier act at these festivals, but he just made so many mistakes, and a lot of the promoters stopped wanting to book him. And I feel bad because I know the guy and I like the guy. I like him a lot. He's a good dude. I think he just has some problems that he either hasn't dealt with, or that they keep kind of creeping back into his life, and his behavior is tough for you can't get up there and play a few songs and leave, and expect people to be okay with that when you're contracted to do an hour or an hour and a half. It just, you do that enough times, and
Yeah.
I just ran into him, Chris from Trapped. We
yeah.
ran into each other at the Ocean City show.
Yeah.
And I like Chris. He's a good dude. And back in the day, of course, Shinedown was opening for those guys in Trapped when Headstrong was hitting and stuff. I believe Scott Sokol was their agent. Same with us. So Chris had his moments on Twitter. I don't know if you remember, but there was some things that he kind of said, and I don't know if that was. I mean, they're still out playing shows, so it didn't end his career. But I mean, you got to be kind of careful, I think, because again, promoters will stop booking you, and other bands may not want to tour with you anymore. It's so there's a time and a place for everything, and just get out there and play your music, man, for the fans, and kick ass, and leave that other shit for another conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
Wes Scanlon, I remember when the first album came out and I was working at WJR in Orlando, and, we had Earth Day Birthday and they performed, and he comes, does the interview, and he was a complete asshole, like just a complete and utter asshole. And actually I ended the interview early because it just wasn't fun. And I remember, I'll never forget the image of him walking away with these two really hot blondes and these red boy shorts, and I just remember walking away and looking over at like the engineer or something, go, God, that guy's a dick. I was like, it sucks because I love the music, but he's such a dick. And then so fast forward, second album, and we have the broadcast set up, same scenario, same radio station. And I see this guy that is waiting to do an interview. I thought it was Edge from the WWE at the time. I mean, like spitting image of the wrestler Edge. And so I didn't say anything because I was like, no, why would he be here? Like, nobody told me about this. And he stands up, he goes, hey, Wes, from Puddle of Mud. And I go, oh, hey, dude. I go, God, you look a lot different than last year. And he goes, yeah, well, I've changed a few things in my life and this and this. And that. Like physically, he looked very healthy. Like he looked like a wrestler, and I was like, good for this guy. And so we do the interview, and he was amazing. He was so cool, and he was so good, and he was very, very humble. Obviously somebody got into his ear, but I told him during the conversation, I said, I got to be honest with you. I'm really impressed. Not that you have to impress me, but I mean, you're talking to your fan base, because a year ago you were a complete dick. And he owned up to it. He goes, yeah, I was this and this and that, so I was like, you always want the best for people. If you're a fan, I'm a fan of music. I mean, that's why, if you're listening to this podcast, you're a fan of music, you want the best for these guys. You want them to get through whatever hurdles and obstacles, we all have them. And so they can put out more music, because music makes the world a better place. So you don't want the worst for anybody. Right.
Exactly, man. I think, it's Wes, that I hear a lot of stories kind of like that, though. He's kind of up and down with his sobriety and with his issues and stuff. But from other people that have interviewed him, they've said similar things. One time he was this way, the next time he was that way. And on that second record, I think he kind of alienated Fred Durst from the situation, and I think that was a mistake, because Fred was, I mean, he was instrumental in making and breaking that band and putting. I mean, he's at the MTV Awards and he's wearing a Puddle of Mud shirt, and they put a lot behind that band, and he helped them was the first record, as far as with some of the songs and stuff, some of the lyrics and producing it and stuff. I want to say they recorded the thing twice or something because it had to be right. Fred was like not letting it come out unless it was right. So, but whenever you do that, it's biting the hand that feeds you, so to speak, because that's your label, that's your guy, that's your support, and they're authorizing funds to promote you and your record, second record or not. And I mean, they had moderate hits on the second record, but it may have humbled him some though too after that first go round. And maybe or maybe he just knew he needed to get sober to keep the train rolling. And I've been around and toured actually with Wes. We did Mudfest, Saliva did, and I've seen him at his best.
Yeah.
On those tours. He was sober, he was great. He would get out there, do his thing, and it was actually a good package too. The band's really we were playing really good size venues and people were turning up, and it was an exciting tour. And then fast forward, next thing you know, he's just recently at Bike Week and couldn't make it through a show,
Really?
We had just played that venue. Yeah, and then he's saying that his on TMZ or something, his former bass player slipped him something like a roofie or something. Did you see him saying that shit?
No.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, dude, I don't know if that's a true story, but either way, he didn't make and I think Bobby, from Saliva helped with the promoter get him other shows that they book for Bike Weeks in other places, right? Like maybe Sandusky or whatever, and let's say there was 3 or 4 other shows. Well, I don't think he's doing those other shows. I mean, it was that bad of a situation there to where down
big words. Former bass player roofied me. That's why I couldn't finish the show.
He said it. I was like, God, dude. Who even? How do you get roofies now? Do they still have roofies? It's like Quaaludes. What happened to fucking Quaaludes? You know what I mean? Like, where are the roofies? And if so, who's dealing roofies? What the fuck, man?
And why is the former bass player trying to drug the lead singer of Puddle of Mud?
Right, I know. It's
the angle, It's like, oh, watch. You remember that one time? Unless it's a practical joke, watch this. That's funny.
It's crazy, dude. It was a weird scene, and again, I felt for him, but also I'm like, in this business, you can't make mistakes like that. The stakes are too high at this point,
Yeah.
And there's other bands that'll take your spot. I mean, in a heartbeat. I mean, look what happened with Alice in Chains. It's, Sean Kinney had some health problems, and they were scrambling to find, a replacement for those festival spots, and they did. I mean, I think they had Social D come in down in Rockville. I think Zombie covered for him at one of them, which is cool. Rob Zombie came in and cover. We would have been happy to cover for them, of course, Saliva, but
sure
that they didn't call us. I don't know why they didn't call us, but
I love Social D. Oh my God, that's like
that was a cool substitute.
There's a like handful of bands in my life that I've always wanted to see, but for one reason or another, never got a chance to see them. Like something will come up last minute, and Social Distortion's one of them. When I was living out in California, my wife, for like Father's Day or my birthday or something, got me tickets to go see him in Vegas. And then I get fired from the radio job and life changed and we couldn't make it out there. That sucked because that would have been a cool time to go out there and see Social D. When I was
it the Punk Rock Bowling, that festival? Because they were just there. We were just there in Vegas. They were playing on a different day, but we weren't playing the punk rock thing. Of course, we did Fremont Street, but literally they were playing it maybe 2 days later or a day later. I was bummed because we were flying home.
Oh no, this was like 2 years ago, a year ago.
Oh, okay.
But I've never seen them, so that's one band. Toad the Wet Sprocket. I love Toad the Wet Sprocket. Never got a chance to see them. What was the other? I think those are like the 2 big bands as far as for me that I've always wanted to see, but for one reason or another, never got to see. I like Rusted Root. I mean, I like all genres, right? So, but I like Rusted Root. Never got to see him in concert, but my producer, when I was in Atlanta, surprised me and brought in Michael and Dirk into the studio, to do an interview and of course do, the hands, hand song, whatever. I'm like, dude, this is so cool.
That is cool, man.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Rusted Root. I don't know, but it's you're a fan of music.
It's like very indie kind of tree huggy ish. They you know they're in movie. You know the songs in movies, the songs in that granola commercial. You know they're getting good money from all that stuff. But it's send me on my way. Send me on my way. I mean, that's the song, right?
Okay.
And
I don't know. It sounds interesting though. I don't know.
So the only reason I'm a fan is in the early 90s when I was in college, my first 2 years at Wingate, North Carolina, I was at this party and I just got out of a long relationship and I was at this party and it was like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And the song comes on this boombox that was sitting next to me. And this girl, and I'm going, oh, this is a good song. This is cool, Now, remember, the early 90s was the era of college rock, So you had Dave Matthews and Noah's Red Tattoo, which never made it. The Samples, which never made it. They were a band out of Denver, Colorado. Noah's Red Tattoo from the Carolinas. So all these
better than Ezra, but they kind of made it. They kind of made it. I mean, they did. Good. They did pretty good. Yeah, but I always think of that and better than it. You said even Toad the Wet. That was Toad the Wet Sprocket was around back then, right? And
early 90s band.
Big Head Todd and the Monsters.
Big Head Todd and the Monsters. It was a really cool time for rock because anytime you have split genres of one genre, it gives you a lot of options. And especially when you're living the moment. I was in college at that time, so I'm living the moment. And when you're broke, you can go to a show with a band you don't know and you like them, you become a fan, right? That's just how that works. And there was a lot of places in the Carolinas to go see live music. Hootie came out at the time, and they're a Carolina band. So, we would be able to see them at small venues under different names. They'd go by Hoot and Fish and all those other kinds of things and stuff like that. But this girl comes and sits next to me and she's like, oh, what's the song? I was like, I have no idea. And then somebody comes over and tells us the song. We start talking. Anyway, we start kind of hanging out. She was a cool chick. It was the only chick that I ever spent time with in a lot of different ways that could remove her teeth because they got busted out in a car accident. I just thought that was really cool. And
interesting because that could be used in certain ways. Not the teeth part. I'm just saying. I mean, there's a smooth entry and a smooth release out of there. You know what I mean? Like,
tell me about
that could be a good thing, I guess.
Tell me about it. I was very attracted to that. She was like, "Watch this," and it clanked.
She's whistling through them and shit. Damn, son. We call that a gummy. I think that's the gummy.
So thank you to Rusted Root for being the soundtrack of The Girl That Could Gummy. I appreciate it.
Man, that's unique, bro. Not many could tell that story. I'll tell you that much. That's a pretty good story. I wonder if she's listening.
Well, you think, I mean, look, that's me as a fan of a band that has that story. Can you imagine? And just take the 3 bands that you've been in, right?
Oh my God.
Saliva currently, Shinedown, and Fuel. How many fans have similar stories that say, out to their friends or on a podcast or whatever the hell they're doing? I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only gummy story. And they're like, dude, I was listening to this band Saliva or Shinedown. And, I met this bassist Brad one time. And dude, I met this girl. She could take her teeth out. That story's probably a million times over that includes you in it, Brad. I promise you.
Not me, but I've heard other stories, maybe from other bands that we've toured with. Just throwing that out there.
Like, for example, yes.
I can't dime him out, but there was a member of Tantric that has a similar story. But I can't dime him out. I can't do it. I love the guy too much, but he wouldn't care. He'd probably laugh. But it's.
But do you have memorable moments from a band? Like, for example, what I just gave, another one when I was in college, same college, Wingate, North Carolina. I was hanging out with this girl from another school. She was in my dorm. We were in my bed. It was a nasty storm outside and the radio was on, my little clock radio, and Live, Lightning Crashes is playing. And again, love Ed Qualichek, love Live. And it was so cool because of the moment was cool. The night was cool. And the the song was like synced up to the thunder and the lightning outside. It was just such a cool experience. So every time I think of Live and Ed Qualichek, I think of that experience. And then I go, wish I remembered what the girl's name was. And I don't remember her first name, but she says, you'll always remember my last name. I said, why? She goes, because it's on your speaker, Jensen. Jensen speakers. And she was like, Jensen. So those stories from a fan's perspective, from a civilian, is cool. Now, from a rock star's perspective, do you have the same stories?
I mean, my wife and I connect with a lot of, musically, and a lot of times I'm resistant, but she'll put on something. I'm like, what is this? And then I'm not that I'm resistant because I'm jaded. It takes me a minute to like accept it. You know what I mean? So, but I've been married this whole time, so
Yeah.
no, I don't have stories like that. But I mean, that's what, like, she and I, we definitely, like, for instance, do you like Blue October?
Yeah, love Blue October.
So, Spinning the Truth Around, they have some, that's not even their latest, but, and I'm actually friends with Matt, their bass player. Great dude, man. But, she put that record on, and I was like, man, I like it. It's really good. And we're just, I'm cooking food and stuff. We're just bonding. And then she just kept playing tracks off of it. And I was like, man, it's kind of different for them, but I definitely dig that record and that band, and just, there's songs at certain times, I guess, in your life that you connect with, and they kind of become a part of your life,
Blue October, I say, I put them in a genre of bands that their radio song doesn't represent what the band is.
No.
There's Blue October, Authority Zero, Flowbots. Those three bands in particular, I just remember, like, especially Authority Zero. Authority Zero's radio persona is nothing like their live show persona.
Is that No One Gets Out Alive? What's their hit? Remind me. Yeah.
Authority Zero. Well, they redid Mexican Radio. I mean, that was big for them. They had another one too, but Flowbots was another one. I mean, they all kind of have that political angle. And Blue October is heavier than their radio song. Like when you go see Blue October, a lot heavier.
Yeah.
You don't realize.
They were so cool. They came to, I was out of town. Of course, I couldn't go see them, but they came to Daly's in St. Augustine, and my wife and son, Liam, got to go down there, and Matt was super cool, was like, basically red carpet. And, I was like, I appreciate stuff like that, man. It's like when I can't personally be there, and then someone from the band is like, come on back, get a t-shirt. Like he couldn't have been any cooler to them. And, that's respect. And, I'd have done the same for his wife and kids. So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, music's one of those things that I think people connect with, but for different reasons. But whatever the reason is, it affects you, and it moves you and inspires you. And, and I don't know. Some people think the stuff I listen to is depressing, but I don't know. Maybe I'm depressed. I don't know. But maybe it soothes me because they're depressed too, and I know I could connect that way with it. But I don't know. Like,
what is it that you're listening to that people say that?
Well, like like Coldplay, Radiohead. I mean, some of the stuff. My son got really good on the piano, right? And so I started trying to learn piano, but I was, of course, songs like Karma Police from I learned Trouble by Coldplay, and some songs from Rush Blood to the Head, and that first Parachutes record on the piano. And I just, something about those songs, playing them on the piano versus the guitar is different. I don't know. It's more moving. It's a different thing, because I can play those songs, pretty easily on the guitar, but on the piano, it's different animal. Cause if you didn't start playing piano, it's tough going for me at least, from bass or guitar to the piano. I mean, instead of vice versa. But anyhow, I don't know. Do you think those are depressing bands? I don't.
Well, so there's a movie, and if you've not seen it, you got to see it. It's a Judd Apatow film. It's called This Is 40, and it's Paul Rudd.
Yeah, you know how I know you're gay? You listen to Coldplay. Yeah, right. I'm not gay, but I'm just saying there's something. I know the joke, but
that's 40-year-old virgin. That's 40-year-old virgin.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
So, but still it's not Judd. That's Paul Rudd. So anyway, This Is 40, and I believe they're getting ready to have it. This Is 50, and This Is 40 is actually this weird kind of sequel offshoot to Knocked Up, because anyway, you just got to watch the movies. But so if you're in your 40s when the movie came out, or you can remember when you're in your 40s, it's so spot on. And Paul Rudd he goes off on his own to have his own label. And so he's trying to sign bands, and he's got an older artist, and he's trying to do all these things. So he's coming home one night and from a gig with his artist, Graham, I forget what Graham something, his older artist, and his wife, who's played by Judd Apatow's real wife. She's like, I just don't understand why you can't sign a hot 16-year-old pop star. And he goes, because he's like, what kind of music do you like? She's like, Lady Gaga. He's like, that's so fabricated and fake. I want music with heart and soul. And she goes, I want to eat. This isn't a hobby for you. This is your job. So then they get home, and their kids, who are played by Judd Apatow's real kids, she puts on this poppy song, Dungeon Dragons, and the kids are all dancing around and stuff like that. And he turns it, he puts his iPod on there, and he puts it on there, and he puts Alice in Chains on. And he's like, Rooster.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, it's like, Rooster. It's like, and he's like, I can dance to this. I can dance to this. And the girls go, it's so depressing. And he goes, I just wish somebody in this house had a dick. And the littlest girl goes, well, I don't want one of those. But the scene is funny because it's kind of what we're talking about right now. Like, I can, growing up in the grunge era. I mean, I grew up as a glam rock guy. I transitioned to alternative into the grunge era, and then that was kind of my coming of age days. I can sit there and listen to any grunge and enjoy it. I don't get depressed about it. I enjoy it as far as loving music. But if you were to get like my daughter at 20 to put on Nirvana or Pearl Jam or you name it, Alice in Chains, she's gonna be like, why would I want to listen to this? This is so sad. They're talking about drugs and killing themselves. This is horrible.
Pretty much. But it was real, though. I mean, it was real shit. Those guys weren't faking any of that. They lived it, and obviously, pretty much they're all dead from it, or pretty much. Yeah. Besides Eddie Vedder, the whole Seattle, everyone's dead.
Yeah,
I mean, it's some sad shit,
Right. It was
I feel the same. It's Leslie Mann's wife, dude. She's hilarious.
Yeah, Leslie Mann. Yeah,
Leslie Mann. Yes. What's a fucking French toast? What was that on old school French toast?
No, that's 40-year-old virgin in the car.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Oh, I thought it was old school when he was running. Oh yeah, you're right. It is 40 years. Remember when he's Frank the Tank's running though? She's in that too, though.
No, she's not. Leslie Mann's
not in old school. Oh, who is that then? Though?
No.
Man, I get them confused. They're all like so like in every movie with each other,
No, because my wife and I do the French toast bit all the time. Like,
okay.
What's some fucking French toast? Yeah.
That motherfucker is wild, dude. She's hilarious.
She's awesome. Love Leslie Mann. Yes, very, very funny. So I want to bring this up to you. I saw a story with GNR's former manager and Alan Niven, and one of the websites did an interview with him, and they were talking about the Use Your Illusion sessions. They came out in September of '91. For those that remember, it was probably the last time, at least to my memory, that anybody waited for an album. Obviously, we don't buy albums anymore. I know the vinyl thing is back, but I mean, this was the last time, to the best of my memory, that people waited hours to buy the double album of GNR's Use Your Illusion, which was very different, especially for the times. They're putting out 2 albums at one time simultaneously, and they're expecting you to buy both of the albums, which I guess at the time would run $14.99, give or take, something like that. And you had to buy them separately. You had the red one, you had the blue one. Mm-hmm. So they asked him, they said, if you could put it all together in just one album, could you do it? And he did it. And he put Double Talkin' Jive, Back Off Bitch, Dust and Bones, Yesterdays, which is one of my all-time favorite songs.
Great song.
Civil War, Pretty Tied Up, You Could Be Mine, Locomotive, November Rain, obviously, and Dead Horse. But it got me thinking, is that like, if you could, the best album that you can think of, maybe do top 3 that you could listen to from front to end, beginning to end, start to finish, and it's just all great songs. Like Use Your Illusion. I believe Use Your Illusion, both of those albums, you listen all the way through. And I believe the concept was supposed to be a concept album, where that's what you're supposed to do. But can you think of at least one?
I could think of a few, actually. I mean, okay, Nirvana, Nevermind, Pearl Jam 10, SDP Core, SDP Purple, let's see, Dirt, Alice in Chains, I mean, there's a lot Siamese Dream, Smashing Pumpkins, and I know I'm a grunge kid, so I'm gonna say grunge stuff mainly. Guns N' Roses, though, Appetite. I wasn't into the Use Your Illusion. I don't know, man. It started kind of losing me. You know, I wanted some dirty LA sleaze rock that they did on Appetite, and they started getting, you know, with the piano coming in. I get it, I guess, but I wanted a little bit more of that going on, a little bit more Izzy Stradlin, you know, like riffs. Like
Yeah.
that dude was the riff maker, and Slash on one side, Izzy on the other, just raw and crazy. But yeah, so Appetite definitely, Pantera, Vulgar, Metallica, Master of Puppets. Let's see. I mean, there's. Can you agree with me on some of these? I mean,
Oh yeah. I mean, like so I guess it's all obviously
Shine Down, fly, Leave a Whisper.
Leave a
That's a
Whisper.
good
Yeah. So I guess it's all, you know, preference of the band and you liking it. And if you've listened to it enough times, but I guess maybe I'd have to dumb down the question a little bit and go back to like the first time you listened to it. And it was just so amazing without even, you know, knowing the songs. Cause I mean, you know, the idea gets a little twisted when a band releases a song, you hear the song, or nowadays you go on TikTok and you hear it and you go and you just listen to that song to death. And then if it's on an album or a playlist or whatever it is, then you'll go through it, but nothing will compare to that one first song that's gone mainstream.
Mhm.
And there are albums that even after the mainstream song is released, you can listen to it and it's not stop. For me, you know, like Grave Dancers Union by Soul Asylum.
Soul Asylum.
I think that's an absolutely amazing album. 16 Stone by Bush, I think, is an amazing album. And I had that. Like, I can honestly say, you know, I don't remember the first songs off those albums that got radio play, but I can honestly say when I purchased those albums, I listened to them all the way through and liked other songs better than what radio was playing. Does that make sense? You understand?
Yeah.
What I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. The deeper cuts, a lot of times you don't even listen to the radio song anymore when you listen to the record. You just skip past it and you listen to the other songs. You know, I mean, I remember when I guess I would have been 10 in 1984, and Van Halen came out with 1984, and it's the kid, you know, the sheriff or whatever, smoking a cigarette. And that's one record I bought with my own money. And that's one of those records where that was pivotal for me, like, just as far as, because I'd also, then after that, I think I bought Kill 'Em All by Metallica.
Yeah.
And I was skateboarding with like kids that were older than me, and they were into bands like that. And it was cool. The Cult, Electric, you know, and it was cool to finally be able to buy my own music, and my parents would let me buy record or cassettes, of course, back then.
Yeah.
We weren't doing the vinyl, and CDs hadn't come out yet. So, so that was interesting. And of course, Headbangers Ball was a thing.
Yeah.
So you'd see the band and you're like, dude, who is that? They're on Headbangers Ball. And it was like, we would stay up late. I'm sure you did the same thing, like, right?
Sure.
To watch Headbangers Ball, and all these bands are coming out. And I mean, some of it was, you know, the glam scene, which I know you came from that. I was a little late on the glam. You know, I kind of caught the tail end, I guess.
Yeah.
And
So did I. Yeah. So
you know, I mean, but when grunge hit, that was my generation. That was my people, you know. I mean, I was in a band in 11th grade, and we were playing deep cuts off Pearl Jam 10, and we were playing Nirvana songs, and it hadn't even hit Jacksonville quite just yet, because, you know, it would always start from the West and move over, right?
Yeah.
So we're playing songs, and people are like, man, y'all's originals are really good. We're like, those aren't originals, dude. Those are on about to be big records, you know. So I've been doing it a long time, but
the
just
problem,
being able to.
the problem with those deep cuts, though, is the band never plays them in concert.
Well, they do it first because they have to. They don't have the material to not do it. But then, you know, then you get the greatest hits, and it's the Eagles, and they have 30 hits, or 32 hits, and they have to kind of play. And they may put a new song or a deep cut in there. But have you ever seen the Eagles live?
No, I missed them. I was supposed to go one night, and I missed it.
Man, I've seen them here in Jacksonville, and I mean, every song's a hit. You're singing along the whole time. It's just cool. They have like these tiny combo amps on stage. They're not being crazy with their production. It's just good music, good songs. And I don't know. I always like the Eagles.
It's cool. It's cool. There's certain bands, you know, obviously longevity plays a factor, but there's certain bands, you know, the Eagles, as iconic as they are, you could put them in that category, is that not everyone's going to realize that was an Eagles song, right? So you go to the show and you're like, I'm singing along to every song. REO Speedwagon is synonymous with this. Like people don't realize that they know every REO Speedwagon hit. They just don't realize it.
38 Special too, same thing.
38
You're like, that's
Special,
them? Oh god.
REO Speedwagon,
Yeah.
those type Foreigner,
Foreigner.
those types of bands, you go and they're like playing at SeaWorld or something. You're like, oh, cool. You know, it's Foreigner. Hot blood. You know, I'll go out there and I'll go like, holy shit, I can't leave. Every song I know is a hit and I'm singing along. And that's what makes a good time. That's why these bands get booked, because people can sing along. When you can sing along to a song, game over, right? I mean,
absolutely. I remember you mentioning the Counting Crows quite recently. Well, my former tech Mike Hurst was out with Live. I think at the time they were doing a tour with Counting Crows, and they didn't play Mr. Jones on that tour. And he told me, he was like, people would buy the merch, watch the band play, and they were so pissed that they would take the merch back and be like, I want my fucking money back. They didn't play my song. And then the band would just be like, well, we just play whatever we want to play at this point in our career. We don't have to play what you know, and it was kind of an odd angle to take, because I'm like, bro, that's affecting your livelihood, because you rely on that merch money to pay the bills. A lot of times most bands do, or at least to make your tour make sense, you know? So yeah. I thought that was an odd position to take. And it's a great song anyway. And it's not like, but I've seen bands do that, you know, and it's not a smart move. You got to play the one. I mean, they're there. It's about the fans when you're there, you know.
Why would you not play your biggest song ever?
I couldn't believe it. I was like, that's like suicide. Like, why would you not do that? Like, that's bad. And he straight up, he was like, man, I don't know if it was every night they wouldn't play it, but you know, they just like, I don't know if they refuse or what, like, why would, like, what would cause that? It's not like they ever had like controversy or bad press from it. I mean, that was the hit.
Yeah, that was it. I wonder how that went down. Like, all right, guys, Counting Crows family meeting right now. All in favor of not playing our biggest hit ever, Mr. Jones, raise your hand. And Adam's the only one that puts it up, probably leading the meeting. Everybody's like,
it had to have been him, right? I mean, isn't he the?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Unless
it's one of the guys from the song didn't want him to play it. I don't know. The girl with the hair, you know, I don't know. I mean, like the story behind the song is pretty cool. Like how he came up with it. It was like him and his buddy at a bar, and they were watching, like they were nerds, and they were watching these guys hit on the girls. And so the song is a true story of him and his buddy at a bar. I mean, that's literally the song. And then he goes home and he writes the song after that. As he was watching all these, I think I heard it on Howard or something, but like, that's the good stuff, right? That's where the hits are made, by the personal experience. Not listening from Papa Roach, and I tell Jacoby this all the time, is my favorite Papa Roach song, and they never play it, ever play it. So
man.
He's supposed to, I have to remind him, he's supposed to play it in October when they're in Tampa. He said he was going to. So I'm going to the show. He knows I'm going to the show, and I was like, you better damn well play it. Shinedown never plays Better Version, which I think should have been released as a radio song. Never played.
We did when I was in the band, though. We did. We would play. I mean, even on that Rob Zombie tour and Godsmack, that was 06. We were playing Better Version live, and we only had 30 minutes. We only had 30 minutes, and
but you didn't have. You only had the one album. You didn't have.
Well, we had two by then. I mean, by 06, we you know, I think we were playing Save Me. And thing is, though, when you got 30 minutes, dude, it's tough to pick a set. If you got two records, I mean, they say call it 24 songs. Maybe there's 4 singles off the first one, 3 off the second one. That's it. I mean, if you can even get 7 songs in, I mean, it just depends on. And Brent would talk between songs and stuff too. So, you know, 30 minutes is tough. If you got an hour, you can get a lot in an hour. I mean, Saliva, when we're out with Hinder, there was barely even enough time to change my bass if it was a different tuning or if I was on the 5-string or the 4. I would literally hit the tuner, unplug, hand it to my guy Scotty, and put the bass on, plug it in, hit tuner, and it's already going in my ear. I hear the click going to start the song. So thankfully, the bass doesn't really start the song in any of those songs. It's usually guitar or there's like an intro part. But it was down almost to the second for 60 minutes worth of material. Plus, all of our stuff's time coded to the lights. So when that tempo comes in, it's connected to our lighting rig. So we don't necessarily have to carry a lighting guy, but we will tie into house sometimes. And then there'll be a guy out there kind of doing the house stuff. But so it's kind of streamlined. But if something fucks up, you're screwed because I mean it's happening. The show's happening, and things have happened before where someone's wireless goes out, or I mean things happen all the time. It's the cymbal stand falls and it's the dirt. You're like, oh, there goes the cymbals, or the bass drum mic gets the kick drum. It gets worked out of this, and you're like, where'd the kick go? Oh, the fucking mic's not in there anymore. So you gotta. Sometimes I'll walk over there, put it back. Like. All kinds of stuff can happen, dude. Like,
how do you politely tell somebody in your band that they're fucking up on stage in the moment?
Oh man, that's happened to me. Bobby's looked over and he says to Josh, "The fuck's Brad doing?" I mean, because if you're not on tour and you're just doing like weekend shit, like sometimes you'll brain fog and you'll be like, "Wait. Oh, whoops. It's not that time for that part yet." Right? It just happens. I mean, like when you're on a tour and you're playing every night or, whatever, that doesn't happen because you're dialed. You're not even thinking about it at that point. You're just in it, man. You're just in it. But even if I play through the songs while I'm home, I'll go out sometimes and I'm like, oh shit, it's second verse. It ain't, it's played differently. It's not anyway. And what's he doing again?
So that's kind of jokey joke. It's kind of.
I mean, at that point, dude, it's live. It's happening. You can't get it back. You got to do it, and it's like, but he's forgotten words before. I mean, it happens. So then I go, "What are you doing over there, buddy?" Like, it's very rare that Bobby fucks up, but it's happened. I mean, it happens to everybody, Yeah.
Biggest screw up on stage in music history that you can remember.
Any screw up from me?
No, just in general.
In general.
I've got one.
I was gonna say, just restarting the song. I'm trying to think of a good one where they had to be like, stop, no, hit it again. I'm trying, man. That happens to people though, man. And that's the last thing you want to do is restart the song. That's tough.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because then you're, especially if it happens first song, because all the momentum and intensity that's in excitement, it's like wind out of your fucking sails. And that's happened in every band I've been in. And it's like, that's like the worst feeling on stage. Cause then you got to get it back.
Right.
Like you got to earn it back. And you did not, oh dude.
Yeah. Poison on, I think of the MTV Music Awards or one of those award shows back in the day when CC went in to play, I forget which song he was playing. Louis the Cat dragged in and they were trying to do nothing but a good time. And, and he's playing like, Brett goes through the song he's going to do to a totally different guitar. And then afterwards, supposedly like ran after CC to beat him up. And it was this big thing backstage and stuff. That to me is probably one of the biggest screw ups and like that everybody saw happen that knew, because most of the screw ups can be covered up. I mean, unless you're like a diehard musician, you're like, oh, I played the wrong chord. He's out of key. He's out of tone. Like, one of those things. It's going to happen. Yeah. That's live music. That one was big, huge.
Did he find him and beat him up? Do we know?
I think he
punched him in the face.
Yeah. I mean, it's everybody knows the story. I mean, I've asked Brett about it before, but I think he eventually got him, tracked him down, punched him.
He knows where he sleeps.
Yeah. They still to this day, when they tour together, they're all on separate buses.
I could see that. And, honestly, Brett could do more on his own than, I mean, Poison's got a brand and a name, but I'm pretty sure Brett's doing, and it's his thing, and he's doing meet. We saw him when Vinnie Paul was still alive. We were in Texas, and actually Jason Todd was in the band with Fuel with me, and Fuel was playing with Bret Michaels at the American Airlines Center there in Dallas, and Vinnie came out. I got pictures, and Vinnie was great, man. Super cool dude. But I remember we went on Brett's bus, and after the 100 people in line, of course, we waited for him to do his meet and greet. Yeah. And all those people are paying however much money. I'm like, he's making side money, not even connected to the show. He's crushing it right now. And of course, it had his face on the side of the bus. I don't know if you remember that. This was like 2010 or something, or had been in that area, maybe 2011. But super
Rock of Ages. That was the Rock of Ages era.
Yes, it was. And or was it Rock of Love?
I mean, Rock of Love, not Rock of
Rock
Ages.
of Love, yes.
Yeah, Rock of Love.
Ages was Def Leppard. I think.
Yeah, that was Def Leppard.
Close enough. Whatever. No, 220.
220,
Anyways,
whatever it takes.
whatever it takes. So, but he's super cool, of course, Brett. And I had met him before. I told him the story that when Shinedown first went to Henson Studios and we were recording with Bob Marlette, Poison was in there. They were the first band we met in LA.
Really?
And they were grilling out. They were grilling. They were putting on. And Brett come up, shook my hand, looked me right in the eyes. Hey, man, like totally super cool, down to earth guy. Yeah. And I told him I had met him back then. I don't think he remembered, but yeah, we hung with him on his bus, and he was super cool to us. Offered us drinks and got some photos and everything. But yeah, that was it's hard to believe 15 years ago. But
yeah,
but
Brett,
yeah,
I've known Brett a very long time. I grew up as a fan, and then became friendly with him through the business. And the one thing about Brett is he is all business. He knows who he is. He knows his audience, and he knows how to super serve that audience, whether it's on stage or off stage. He's got the system down pat. Now, when you go on that bus, which I've been on many times, he offers you the drink. There's not this big party that you might think is happening. And then when it's time for you to go, there is just a way cool way of him doing it. Like you got to get, I mean, I've seen some things that guy has done that blew me away that I didn't even see coming. How to get people off the bus. Hey man, let's go side stage and watch Def Leppard. Where's Brett? Oh, he's back on his bus. Oh, girls,
Well, people get offended too. You're like, oh no, we try to do our bus hangs before show, but yeah, you don't want to be like, hey man, thanks for coming and paying. It's like you don't want to be rude, but there's a certain point where you got to get ready, but and you just kind of have to tell them, hey man, okay, well, let's do some pictures and we got to, sacrifice the chicken. And
that's why you got to have a code word for a handler that's there. And you're just like, pineapple. And then like the handler then goes, hey, why don't we go outside and get some pictures next to the bus? And then now you have them off the bus.
Yeah.
And then,
oh no, we know how to do it. I'm just saying, but sometimes the handler may not be there for that particular show, or it's the merch person and they're back selling merch. So we kind of have to do it. But yeah, it can vary, and people are cool about it. They're sweet. I mean, it's not like, but there are some, they want to linger because they feel, I mean, they're on the bus. It's a cool thing to them. We're trying to get off the bus, especially me. I've sat on the bus. I get it. I get my bike and I go somewhere, my mountain bike.
So does Saliva have a code word that you guys use when you have fans on the bus that you have to get them off the bus that's said for somebody to say, hey, look,
I usually it's just a look. It's like, okay. And then that's usually followed by, let's do some pictures. And then, okay, well, and you kind of just wind it down, and people get it, but, and we'll sign everything they got and everything and take pictures with the stuff we signed and the whole thing. I mean,
I think you guys should have a fun code word like pineapple or boom or click or something like that. Ladies, something, just something, maybe just for fun, just for
shits and giggles. All right. Yeah, I get it.
So next time you Saliva fans are on the Saliva bus and you hear Brad go, pineapples are delicious and very rare. And just like, where did that come from? Oh, why are we outside now? That's crazy how fast that happened.
Coconut. There's one. Coconut.
Like coconut.
Once upon a coconut.
There
you go. I really am enjoying this coconut water. And that means get the fuck out.
Well, that made me cough. Okay. Let's get some questions. Now, remember, every episode, if you've got questions, we'll post on our social media, just post your questions, DM us or whatever the case may be. We'll get to as many as possible.
Which you kind of asked one from Ashley Berry, I believe. She was running my socials for a while there. Well, it was about the record front to back. Wasn't that one of her questions, I believe, or no?
I don't know. Did I have the same?
Maybe I don't know.
Is she the one that gave the whole list of questions that you sent me?
A lot of them have given lists of questions. So what we're gonna have to do is break up these questions into parts, or into certain episodes, or you'll have to get ready for them ahead of time. Maybe.
So, Kimberly, have you found there to be a brotherhood of fellow musicians who lend each other support, or has it been more of a dog eat world, every man for himself? That's a good one.
I would say brotherhood, in my experience in the rock world. I can't speak for country or pop, but as far as the rock world, and there are bands that don't like each other. I mean, absolutely. But in my experience and with the bands I've been able to tour with, we get along pretty good out there. I mean, because you're out there and it's good to make friends and to have friends. Hell, you might be in their band next year. You don't know, or they might be in yours. I mean, there's some not to be you know too politically correct with them, but you got to remember that this can be taken from you. I mean, for me, when I was let go from Shinedown in '07, it took me till 2010 to get into Fuel. That's a long time to be between bands.
Yeah.
Bands that are actively touring and doing it out there. So, um, which did I tell you that Rob Zombie offered me the bass playing gig in John 5?
You did, but
Did
you turned it down to stay in Shinedown, and then you got booted from Shinedown 6 months later.
Correct.
Yeah.
We have a winner. That sucked, man, because I was loyal and I was trying not to jump ship, even though the second record cycle was so tough for me and it was weird for the whole band. But yeah, Blasco was going over to Ozzy at that time, and they were looking out for his replacement, and they approached me. I think I told you it was Earth Day birthday. No, it was Livestock first, and then Earth Day birthday the next day.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, and I turned him down, and there was after that happened, I was like, man. And Piggy D was in there till quite recently, where Blasco came back after 20 years or 18 years or something.
Because those job openings don't happen every day.
They just don't, man. They really don't. And Rob Zombie was one of my favorites, of course. And we were still new. Rob was kicking ass, dude. I mean, by that tour we did with him with Godsmack, the movie money kind of hit, and they had a full tractor trailer full of production and the robot movie screens. They had gas, they had dancers. It was a show, man. It was killer.
One of the best live shows you can see. Rob Zombie,
it was kicking ass. It was
Alice
so badass.
Cooper, Motley Crue. I mean, like some of the best shows you could possibly see live. Just like I love Zombie. Zombie's live performance is whether you know all of his music or not, doesn't matter. It's just a show. I mean, it's the way rock and roll should be, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Kelly Turney, why was the title track to Leave a Whisper not put on the original release and released later with the deluxe edition? Not familiar with that. Because Why from the Inside was the title track.
So Leave a Whisper,
Whisper. Oh, I got you.
We cut with Rick Beato. So I think I told you that story, maybe not, where after we did the initial sessions with Bob, we had 12 or 14 songs, and the head of the label said that we didn't have the songs we needed to put the record out just yet. So we went back to the drawing board. We wrote All I Ever Wanted, In Memory, Lost in the Crowd, and we recorded Leave a Whisper, which was written. Brent wrote with Heath, and a guy named Heath, can't think of his last name, in Memphis. A cool song. But after all those songs were taken into account, it was put, we basically put the 12 that made the record on the record. And that's more of an A&R decision. And also the A&R, Steve-O has a boss too, and he has people to answer to. But he actually put the sequence together for Leave a Whisper. And he did it was a great job putting those songs in the order he put them in. Cause of course we all chimed in. No, it should go like this. Everyone has their opinions, and then he did that, but he left Leave a Whisper off. I just don't think it was a strong song. And then, years later, he released everything. The label released, it was like I mentioned before, Notice Me was released. The original demo of No More Love was released. A bunch of songs, they just put everything, Leave a Whisper, of course. But I think it made a better record title than a song. And maybe that's why maybe people agree with me, or maybe they don't, or maybe the label felt the same way, but that's what happens. I mean, there's a certain amount of room on a record, and it's got to make sense for the record. Yeah. And some artists will save it for the next one, but that one just never. I mean, Houses of the Holy. Okay, it didn't make it on the Houses of the Holy record, but it made it on Physical Graffiti, right? I mean, so it's just kind of how things work out sometimes.
What's the most insane prank you've pulled on tour?
We pulled a prank. Matt Pinfield was involved. We were at Aftershock in California, and I was in Fuel at the time. I don't know if you saw this footage, but it was actually pretty funny. It's on the internet somewhere. But these guys come to our. I guess we were in an RV because we didn't have a bus, and they had given us one to hang out in for our dressing room. And security had come to get me and to basically apprehend me because of something that I did. They thought that I did backstage, right? And of course, we had the cameras rolling, and they were doing a thing called the mat attack or something. And so Brett's like, no, you're not going to taste my bass player. You're not. So Brett starts arguing with them, and it's like this whole situation. And so they get me outside the thing, and I end up running away. And then all the security, everything starts blowing up. They're like, "Ah, go get after him," and all this. And so it was a pretty funny prank, and we got Scallions pretty good on it. But he was resistant though. It was, but there's footage of it and everything. But Matt Penfield's in there selling it too with the camera that's inside the RV. He's like, man, I wonder what he did. This is crazy. Like, why would they come try to take him to jail or, you know? I've done other things though. It's just, it's just fun shit you do on the road. You got to keep it light, man.
What about on stage? Can you prank somebody on stage?
I mean, when we were out with Three Doors, we did everything from set up a card table, start playing poker on stage. I mean, you get up there and the silly string and masks and just do, get up there with only wearing a sock. I never did that one.
Yeah.
But I've seen guys do that. It's just being stupid. I think, I saw some footage of, so when Alice in Chains was with Van Halen, the Van Halen guys put boxes on their heads, so they were the man in the box, and they actually were out naked. They were running around, I'm pretty sure naked with boxes on their head during Alice in Chains set and shit. It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
But I mean, you do, as long as there's camaraderie and people don't get pissed.
Yeah,
that's cool.
The Vinnie Paul asked us for our platinum copy of Leave a Whisper Story. It's not really a question, I don't think. I don't know.
Vinny. So Vinny, we had met along the way there when he was in Damage Plan and stuff, and he was super. He loved the band, and whenever we'd come through Dallas, we'd hang out with him and stuff. And he asked us, he's like, when that thing goes platinum, man, y'all better give me a record. And he ended up hanging out at the clubhouse, hanging it up at the clubhouse. His live nude establishment, of course. But he was, like I said, he was super cool. I don't know if there's a big story behind it besides that. I mean, it was just cool to know that someone on that level that we love and respect wanted our platinum record. And he actually hooked us up with Guy Sykes, who was Pantera's guy for the longest time. And so Guy Sykes, on pretty much the whole second record cycle, Us and Them, was our tour manager.
Oh.
And so Guy knew everybody, of course, and it felt like the band was ticking its way up, having pros and people in the biz working with us and representing us.
Is Vinnie Paul probably the most prominent artist as far as respectful wise from you or any of the bands, Shinedown, Fuel or Saliva, that you've had support your projects?
I would say, I mean, he's a pretty big deal. He was. I mean, and just to know someone on that level, was into the band and gave a shit about us. And there's been others, of course, but I mean, it's just Pantera's legendary, and it's tough. It's tough that the brothers are both gone now, because I think I told you last time, Guy was with us, and we were in Starland Ballroom when we got the news that he had been shot, when Dime had been shot, and I was just like, dude, like
crazy. I would hear stories of Vinny. I mean, I met him like both he and Dimebag like occasionally, like once or twice over the years, but Vinnie Paul, I have a friend of mine, you probably know her, she cuts hair, and
I haven't had my hair cut in a minute though.
So he officiated her wedding. She married the Hell Yeah merch guy.
Oh yeah.
You know I'm talking about
Luke and
right.
I believe they're divorced now, but it was Luke.
They are, and I don't think it worked out for the job either for a couple different reasons. But so I would hear the story, and I saw the video, and I'm just like, I go, Jamie, you know how cool that is, right? I mean, like, she's like, oh, I get it, because she was formerly married to the bassist for Nonpoint, And I was like, this is like next level to have Vinnie Paul officiate your wedding. Like that's the hips nips right there, man. That's badass.
That is badass.
You know, and I'd see that she showed me the video and stuff like that. I'm just like, dude, you know, now he's gone. And then when you watch it, you're like, this is royalty, you know, officiating your wedding for free. Like, that's cool. You know, this isn't a cameo. This is your buddy doing you a solid. You know, that just shows how cool of a guy he was.
He was the best, man. And he was always out. I remember one time we were at NAMM out in Anaheim, and Vinny was out there. We were hanging and partying and stuff, and we actually took his bus. Anyone that knows him he had a couple of them, I think, Eagle buses, and his bro Saul, of course, who also drove for us, took us back from the NAMM, or maybe we were at the Grove or something. It took us back to our hotel. Well, Vinny gets in a cab with Jamie, one of his guys, and the cab hits somebody. So we're all standing there, and then all of a sudden, Vinny and Jamie come running. They're like, dude, what the fuck? Our cab driver just ran over somebody that was actually, I think he was working for, God, who was it? Maybe Schechter or somebody at the NAMM convention, you know, out there. There's once a year. And I don't think it killed him, but they were so freaked out. And we were like, because they didn't want his name to be connected with someone that, you know, they were fucking totally freaked out.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. The guy ended up being okay or whatever. But yeah, that was years ago. But yeah, I think we went to Del Taco afterwards and got a macho taco. Fucking hey. Anyway.
Look, we'll wrap this up. Make sure you're following us on social media. Very easy to find. I do other shows. If you're interested in listening to those or subscribing to those shows, you can do all that from thebaileyshow.com. 3 different shows, 5 days a week. We have great sponsors. If you'd like to be a sponsor, you know, especially if you're digging this show or you like the honey episodes of the BS, you would be a sponsor of all the shows. You just have to reach out to either me or Brad, but you know, you can do that via social media. We're very easy people to get a hold of. Believe it or not. I have a website, The Bailey Show, or jasonbailey.com. I'm going to start using jasonbailey.com. The sponsors, please use them. They're great people. Like I said, you would be a part of that. And then spread the message. Like if you're digging what we're doing, you know, like it, share it, send it. Like I said, we now have the own Instagram for the Vinyl Road Podcast. So at the Vinyl Road Podcast on Instagram, please start following that and appreciate it. So, all right, dude, you got anything before we get out?
Just super grateful once again that people are listening. And I had some of my buddies give me shit about not mentioning them. Brian Ohm and Jeff Baker from my childhood. We went to grade school together, and they're like, what, you're not going to mention me, bro? You're mentioning pretty much everybody else. So I mentioned you. I love you guys. God bless.
Maybe that's what we'll do at the end.
Yeah.
In order for everybody to be happy, just start accumulating names of people that are, you know, it's like, hey, dude, just throw a brother a little bone, and you just mention their name at the very end. That's cool.
But then they have to listen to the very end. They can't fast forward though, just to hear their name. That's
right,
it.
Exactly. It's always going to be at the very
last fucking second of the show.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. Every Friday we release this podcast. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon. Hey, bye.
I think we should do a podcast about rock and roll. I got some stories.
That's it for this episode. Check out jasonbailey.com for more shows. Until next time.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.